Hey, Pat Batchelor here this morning. Just want to talk to you a little bit about your job search and the choices that we make on a daily basis. I think are really important. And the first one is realizing that we all have fears. We all have issues that we deal with when we are doing our job search. And a couple of fears is one is just the fear of rejection in a job search. So often we kind of go, well, we kind of build up in our own mind that people don't want to be bothered by us during our job search. And I just tell people, I just say, look, I want to give you permission to reach out and connect with decision makers and recruiters. And we can do that in a lot of different ways. We can send emails on LinkedIn. We can send connection requests, or you can just make a phone call. And one of the things that I've been amazed by is that I encourage my students to call up and talk to hiring managers. And the reason why is because it never happens. I have one student that took a class um, earlier this year, and he sent a note. He was interested in a job. He saw the job being posted. He sent a note on LinkedIn to the right person at the company that was doing the hiring for. It was an entry level civil engineering role, and he sent a note on LinkedIn to said let's connect. And then once that person connected, he followed up with just a real quick, short email. Said, "Hey, I saw a job that you had advertised, and I'm interested in the role. Would love to have a conversation with you about that." So he sent the note, and the guy called him back within 5 minutes and said, "I've been doing this job. I've been owning this company for 20 years. I've never had a candidate reach out to me specifically about a job advertisement." He looked at his resume. He said, "Would you come down and interview for the job?" And so, the, you know, the candidate student, went down, interviewed for the job, and landed the job. And it was just so simple, the process of setting up his LinkedIn profile, developing people that you want to connect with, and then just reaching out, even if it's just a follow up note or just a note on LinkedIn, can have a huge impact because you're sending the right kind of note. You're not just saying, "Can I have a job?" But you're sending the right kind of note to a hiring manager, and then being willing to engage in a conversation. And that's what sales is. That's what marketing is. That's what we need to do in order to um, land our job, is to just be willing to reach out and connect. And one of the things I hear is from a lot of students, I just don't want to be a bother. And I just say, look, don't worry about whether they say yes or no. It happens so rarely. You can talk to presidents of companies. You can talk to mid-level managers at engineering firms, and I'll just ask them. I'll say, "How often does someone call you up and ask for a job or ask about a job or something, some kind of employment issue that maybe is a cold call that you may not have talked to before?" And they'll say, "Oh, either never or maybe three times in a career of 15 or 20 years." And so it just doesn't happen. People don't reach out and just make a phone call um, and ask about a particular job. They just don't do it. So it happens so rarely that when that person is getting a phone call, they may be working at their desk, they may be doing an email, they may be in the middle of a conversation, who knows? But when they get that phone call, it happens so rarely, they're like, "Oh, wow." And the way I look at it is you never know until you ask, and you don't know what a company's situation is until you ask someone who works at that company. So I just always start with the assumption is that they've been waiting, they've been dying, they've been so hungry, just wishing somebody would call them and maybe offer their services. A strong engineer would just approach them to fill a role within their team. So you just don't know until you ask. And so I just say ask. I just want to just kind of take this time to give you permission to say, yes, you can just make a phone call. You can just call and ask. Um, a company and say, hey, I'd love to come or talk to you about a particular opportunity, or just to let you know who I am, and do you know someone that I should talk to? And I just want to give you permission to do that, because I'll tell you, the people that I talk to says, one, it almost never happens, and then two, um, no, I'm not offended. If someone wants to call and is trying to advance their career, I mean, as engineers, we take a code of ethics, and one of them is that you try to help the next generation come along and take their steps in their career. So, as an engineer, we kind of have a code of ethic almost to say, look, you got to give back. And so, most engineers that I've found and hiring managers are willing to do a favor. Now, they may not hire you and they may not be able to give you a recommendation, but they might have a word or two of advice. And you might just say, look, I'm looking for a job. Do you have any advice? Or do you know someone I should talk to? And most people are not afraid or put out by having by taking a few minutes to help someone else on their journey, and or they may just say, hey, I don't have time right now, and you just say fine and you leave a note, um, or more often than not, we're leaving a voicemail. You don't even get to talk to the hiring manager. So then all the pressure's off, right? You can leave a voicemail and somebody, says, please leave a voicemail. And then you can just leave a voicemail. And I encourage my students, have a script, say, hi, my name's Joe. And here's the information about me, and would love to talk to you at some point. And so if you'll just take that one step and just kind of put that fear of failure or that negative thought of nobody wants to talk to me, or I don't want to bother someone, just trust me, you're not going to bother somebody. And if you do, okay, well, maybe they don't have something for you at that point, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to, that you have to not reach out, because not reaching out, you're not moving your career forward. And so I just encourage you, take that step, overcome that fear of rejection or that fear of wondering whether you're going to inconvenience somebody's day by just asking them a question. Hey, do you know someone I should talk to? So that's my tip for today, is just overcome your fear. Don't listen to those negative emotions. And if the thought is, I don't want to bother them, the counter thought to that is are they dying and waiting for me to call? Which one's more valid? That they're going to be irritated that I called and they don't want to be bothered with me, or that, oh man, I just can't wait to hear from this engineer that's going to help me solve this problem, or going to be part of my team in the next year or two. And so you don't know which one's more valid. I don't want to leave me alone. Don't ever call me again. Or oh my gosh, I can't wait to talk to you. Thank you so much for calling. Which one's more valid? Which one is more realistic? The answer is probably, if you put them on both ends of the spectrum, you know, one's probably not any more valid than the other. It's probably somewhere in the middle. But if you're going to not call over here because you're afraid you're going to bother someone, and you should call over here because you're helping someone solve a problem, or you're helping someone who's desperate in need for what you provide. Which one's more realistic? I say they're both possible. And so don't lean into this one. It says don't call. I say always lean into this one, because if there's someone out there that you can help, that you coming alongside and joining their company is going to help them take the next steps in their career, boy, that's huge. So that's my tip today, is don't talk yourself out of making a connection. Don't talk yourself out of sending a note or an email or making a phone call, because the people that you're going to be calling may be the people that have just been dying and waiting for you to call. So that's my tip for today. I wish you all the best in your job search, and have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.